Let's all stand. Worthy is the Lamb who was slain. Holy, holy is He. Sing a new song to Him who sits on heaven's mercy seat.
I can remember going back to school for my junior year at the University of Richmond and being incredibly terrified and excited all at the same time, because that summer my life had changed in ways that I never could have imagined. God, the real one, the living God, had stepped into my world and had introduced Himself to me through various relationships, but had introduced Himself to me for real. I'm passionate about the gospel because it's everything. I think I grew up with, I guess, what would be called a typical experience of religion and of church and God and everything that went along with that. And the reality was it was empty, it didn't mean anything to me, and I had no idea that God was real. And it was only when Jesus broke into my life that I realized how much I had been missing and how much He actually has to give us. It's saying that the hand needs the foot. The hand can't say to the foot, I don't need you. We're all part of the same body. It's what it means to be Christian. There's a huge difference between telling someone about a steak and actually tasting that steak for the first time and realizing perhaps what you've missed out on your entire life. That's what life in Chattanooga was like for us when we went down to this place that was full of so many strong, real, deep, true Christians, folks who had spent an entire lifetime and whose parents had spent a lifetime knowing God. We saw people who knew Jesus, who, I don't know how else to explain it except that they glowed. They had such a joy that could not be touched by the circumstances of life. And they were servant-hearted. They gave of their time, their energy, their talents, their treasures, and they were committed to that. And they invested in their neighborhoods, in their city, in Chattanooga. They made their home a better place for all in the name of Christ. And I think it was there that Kristen and I first got the bug, first started to feel that burden. If this is who God really is, if this is actually possible, if this is true, then what were we missing the whole time we were growing up? And couldn't we see this in Rockland? How amazing would it be to bring this Jesus, the real one, back home?
But remain proud in view of God's mercy. I offer my all and take my life. Let it be everything, all of me. Here I am, use me for your glory.
My own personal story and the story of All Souls are obviously wed together. Because God did this in my life, and it was shocking, surprising. I wasn't looking for Him. I didn't really think He existed in that way. But because He so changed me, I wanted to give this away. It was like a treasure that was too great for me to hold on to. So I felt like we need to do something. And from the very beginning, God burdened my heart and our hearts, my wife Kristen and I, our hearts, for coming back to our hometown, to Rockland County, to bring something that we never experienced here. And that's not a diss on anyone who lived here or on the strong Christians that lived here long before we lived here, but it's simply our experience. We never experienced that here, and we wanted to bring it back in a way that so brought glory to Jesus and introduced the world to the wonder of the God that is there. And so for us, the idea of being a church of the broken for the broken, that we've all lived these lives, and knowing God allows us to be authentic about who we really are, which means two things at the same time, right? It means that I don't have to fake it on a Sunday morning to come to church, and I don't have to be ready to come to church thinking like I got to polish myself up so that God's prepared to receive me. But imagine knowing a God who already knows everything about you and still welcomes you. But it gets better than that, because imagine knowing a God who knows everything about you, but is also committed to fixing the things that are broken, to showing you where there is more brokenness than maybe you could have ever known before, but to also being the one who washes you with the water of His Word, who loves you, who cares for you, who reshapes you through the community called the church, through the power of His Holy Spirit, and makes you whole. And not just you, but your family, your relationships, your world. That's why we're here. That's why God's put the church on this planet. And that's why I think God has us here in Suffern, is to be a place like that for Rockland, for Suffern, for this area. Our dream is to see not just our own selves and not just our own church, but our village here in Suffern, and our county here in Rockland, in our region with Bergen County and the New York metro area, to see it saturated with the wonder of Christ, because knowing this King, knowing Him for real, changes everything.